There was a bell above the door, and the shopkeeper knew it was you before you'd even stepped inside. He knew your name, your paper, your mum's usual, and whether you were good for it that week. The British corner shop wasn't just somewhere to buy things, it was the beating heart of the street. Today's supermarkets, with their self-checkouts and loyalty apps, would never dream of half the things these shops did without a second thought. Here are 25 of them. Number 25. Letting you buy on the slate. Long before contactless and buy now, pay later apps, there was the tick book, a battered ledger kept under the counter with a pencil tied to it by string. When wages ran thin and Friday felt a long way off, the shopkeeper would write your name at the top of a page and let you take what you needed. A loaf, a tin of beans, a packet of tea, all noted down in careful handwriting. You settled up on payday, and nobody made you feel small about it. Whole families were fed through hard weeks on nothing more than a shopkeeper's trust and a page in a notebook. Try asking Tesco to write your name in a book and let you pay next Friday. The tick book ran on something no supermarket has ever stocked: faith in the people who lived on your street. Number 24. Weighing out a quarter of sweets. The wall behind the counter was a wall of glass jars, sherbet lemons, pear drops, rhubarb and custard, aniseed balls, each one catching the light. You'd point, and the shopkeeper would unscrew the lid, tip a rattling stream onto the brass scales, and nudge the weight until it balanced at exactly a quarter of a pound. Then he'd twist the paper bag by its corners with a practiced flick. For tuppence a child could stand there for a full 5 minutes, agonizing over the choice as though it were the most important decision in the world. The whole ritual, the jars, the scales, the twist of the bag, turned a few sweets into an occasion. Supermarkets sell you a sealed plastic pouch of the same thing, pre-weighed, pre-priced, untouched by human hands. The magic was in the weighing, and the weighing is gone. Number 23. Keeping your paper aside. Every morning before the street had stirred, the shopkeeper had already sorted the papers into little piles, each with a name penciled on the top corner. Yours was waiting, folded, whether it was the Mirror, the Express, or the local weekly with the births and deaths that everybody read first. If you were poorly or away, he'd hold it back rather than sell it on. And the paperboy who delivered it, satchel heavy across his shoulder in the rain, earned his few bob learning the rhythm of every household on the round. It was a small thing, having your paper put by with your name on it, but it meant you were known. A supermarket stacks its papers in an anonymous heap by the door and couldn't tell you from the next customer if its life depended on it. Number 22. Splitting a pack for you. You didn't need 6 sausages, so the butcher's counter in the corner shop sold you 3. You couldn't stretch to a dozen eggs, so you got 4, cradled in a little paper bag. A single OXO cube, 2 rashers of bacon, 1 candle, a couple of woodbines from an opened packet slid across the counter for those who couldn't afford a full 10. The shop bent itself to what you actually needed rather than what was convenient to sell. Nothing came shrink-wrapped in quantities that suited the supplier instead of the buyer. If a pensioner living alone wanted 1 bread roll, she got 1 bread roll and a smile with it. The supermarket sells everything in multi-packs designed to make you buy more than you'll use and calls it choice. Number 21. Knowing your name and your order. The usual love, and it would already be reaching for the shelf before you'd finished nodding. The shopkeeper knew that Mrs. Ableton took her tea loose and her sugar in a blue bag, that number 14 liked his Vimto and a wagon wheel on a Saturday, that the young couple at the end were expecting and had started buying gripe water. This wasn't data harvested by an algorithm, it was genuine memory, built up over years of the same faces coming through the same door. You were a person, not a footfall statistic. Supermarkets now track your every purchase through a loyalty card and email you coupons, and yet nobody there knows your name. The corner shopkeeper knew it, knew your children's names, and asked after your mother's hip. Number 20. Delivering the order to your door. If you were housebound, elderly, or simply weighed down with little ones, the shopkeeper would make up your weekly order and have the delivery boy bring it round on his bicycle, the basket on the front stacked with tins and the loaf balanced on top. There was no minimum spend, no delivery slot to book a fortnight ahead, no fee. It was just what you did for a neighbor who couldn't easily get out. The boy would carry it right through to the kitchen table and often stop for a biscuit and a chat with someone who'd not spoken to a soul all day. Supermarkets have rediscovered home delivery and charge you handsomely for it, dropping the bags on the step and driving off. The corner shop delivered kindness along with the groceries. Number 19. Giving you change for the meter. When the electric meter clunked and the lights went out, you'd dash to the corner shop clutching a pound note, and the shopkeeper would open the till and count you out a handful of 50 pences without a word of complaint. He kept a stock of coins precisely because he knew the whole street ran on meters that swallowed shillings. Break a note, change a pound, sort out the bus fare a child had lost. The till was a community cash machine, long before cash machines existed. Nobody was ever charged for the service or told to spend a minimum first. Today, a supermarket self-checkout won't even give you cash back unless you've bought something, and there's no human there to help if it won't. The corner shop kept the lights on, quite literally, across the street. Number 18. Serving children sent with a note. A child of 6 could be sent up the road, clutching a scrap of paper and a coin knotted into a hanky, and the shopkeeper would read the note, 20 embassy and a large sliced thank you, and serve it without a blink. He'd count the change carefully back into the little hand and remind them to hold on tight crossing the road. There was a trust in it that seems unthinkable now. The shop, the note, the child, the whole street watching out. It taught youngsters how to shop, how to count, how to be part of the community. A supermarket would never hand a packet of anything to an unaccompanied 6-year-old, and quite right too by modern rules, but something warm was lost when the note in the hanky disappeared. Number 17. Opening up after closing time. The shutters were down and the shop was dark, but if you knocked with a real emergency, a baby with a temperature and no Calpol, an old man who'd run out of his heart tablets worth of nothing, but you needed bread for the morning, the light would come back on and the door would open. The shopkeeper lived above the shop or just around the corner, and he understood that need didn't keep to opening hours. He'd let you in, serve you quietly, and wave away any fuss. It wasn't in any contract, it was simply what a good shopkeeper did. Supermarkets have their fixed hours enforced by law and by rota, and a locked automatic door will not open for the most desperate knock in the world. The corner shop's door was never entirely closed to a neighbor. Number 16. Ordering something in specially. Fancy a particular brand of pickle your gran used to buy, or a birthday card for a great aunt, or a specific size of nappy the shop didn't normally stock. "Leave it with me," the shopkeeper would say, jotting it in the margin of his order book. Come the next delivery, it would be waiting behind the counter with your name on it. He'd go out of his way to source one item for one customer, because that customer mattered. There was no algorithm deciding it wasn't worth the shelf space. The personal request was honored personally. Supermarkets stock what sells in volume nationwide, and if they don't carry it, the answer is a shrug and a suggestion to try online. The corner shop treated your peculiar little want as a small mission worth completing. Number 15. Turning the window into a notice board. The shop window was papered with handwritten postcards, each one costing a few pence to pin up for a week. Pram for sale, good condition. Piano lessons, reasonable rates. Lost cat, black with white paws, answers to sooty. Cleaner wanted, mornings. It was the internet of its day, the place where the whole neighborhood advertised, hired, sold, and searched. People stopped to read it, and a chat would strike up on the pavement. The shopkeeper connected buyers with sellers, the jobless with work, the lonely with company, all for the price of a postcard. Supermarkets have a bare corporate corkboard for charity leaflets if you're lucky, laminated and ignored. The corner shop window was where the street organized its own life, one drawing pin at a time. Number 14. Saving the bones for your dog. At the shop with a proper meat counter, the offcuts, the trimmings, and the big marrow bones didn't go in the bin. "For the dog?" the butcher would ask, wrapping a knuckle bone in paper and handing it over for nothing. Families who couldn't afford much meat for themselves could at least keep the dog happy, and the bones made a broth in lean weeks too. It was generosity with what would otherwise be waste, offered freely to regulars who'd become friends. There was no till transaction, no barcode, just a kindness passed across the counter. Supermarkets vacuum seal everything and price the very bones they used to give away, or throw them out entirely behind locked doors. The corner shop knew that nothing needed to be wasted, and no small mercy was too small to bother with. Number 13. Trusting you when you were caught short. You'd get to the counter, the shopping totted up, and realize you were tuppence short. The shopkeeper would wave it away. "Bring it next time you're in." No drama, no abandoning the basket, no stern look. He knew you, knew where you lived, knew you'd be back, and knew that dignity was worth more than tuppence. This everyday small trust, repeated thousands of times across the country, was the glue that held communities together. It said, "We're in this together, and I'd rather lose a few coppers than see you embarrassed." At a supermarket self-checkout, being a few pence short means the machine flashes red, the light spins, and a harried assistant has to key in a code while the queue tuts behind you. The corner shop simply trusted you, and you almost never let it down. Number 12. Carrying the bags home. For an elderly customer laden with a heavy basket, the walk home could be a struggle, so the shopkeeper or his lad would think nothing of carrying it for her, right to the front door and setting it down on the kitchen table. On the way, they'd hear about her arthritis, her son in Australia, the neighbor who never said hello, and that little chat might have been the only conversation she had all day. The shop understood it was serving more than stomachs. It was tending to the well-being of the whole street, especially its oldest and loneliest. Supermarkets have trolleys you must return for a pound coin and a car park you cross alone. The corner shop walked you home. That's a service no loyalty scheme has ever thought to offer, because it can't be measured on a spreadsheet. Number 11. The penny tray for the children. Down at child height sat the tray of half-penny and penny treats, flying saucers, fried eggs, shrimps, blackjacks, fruit salads, cola bottles. A child with a single penny in their pocket was still a valued customer, deliberated over as seriously as anyone spending pounds. The shopkeeper waited with endless patience while small fingers pointed and changed their minds and pointed again. It taught generations the value of money and the joy of a treat that cost almost nothing, and it welcomed the poorest child through the door as warmly as anyone. Supermarkets placed the sweets at the checkout as a pest-to-power trap, all multi-packs and shiny wrappers, nothing a child could buy alone with a penny. The corner shop made even the smallest coin feel like riches. Number 10. Marking things down honestly. "That bread's from yesterday, love. Have it for half." The shopkeeper would tell you plainly if something was near its best, and knock the price down accordingly, trusting you to decide. Bruised apples went cheap for a pie, a slightly stale loaf became bread pudding, the tin with the dented side was tuppence off. It was honest dealing, no hiding the older stock behind the new, no confusing reduced stickers designed to make you think you'd saved more than you had. He'd rather sell it cheap to someone who'd use it than throw it out. And he told you the truth, so you could choose. Supermarkets bury their reduced items and engineer their pricing to bewilder you. The corner shop just looked you in the eye and told you which loaf was freshest. Number 9. Sorting out your money troubles. Need a check cashed on a Sunday when the banks were shut? Need to break a fiver into coins for the launderette? Short of the exact bus fare. The shopkeeper's till was the street's unofficial bank. He'd help however he could, often at his own inconvenience and occasionally at his own risk, because he understood that ordinary life ran on small amounts of ready cash and the banks kept bankers' hours. It was one more way the shop wove itself into the practical fabric of people's days. Supermarkets refer you to the cash machine that charges a fee, or simply can't help, hemmed in by policy and procedure. The corner shopkeeper used his own judgment and his own float to keep a neighbor afloat, no questions asked and no charge added. Number 8. Keeping an eye on the local children. The shopkeeper knew whose kids were whose, and if he saw a youngster where they shouldn't be, out too late, or heading for trouble, he'd have a quiet word or mention it to their mother. He was another pair of watchful adult eyes on the street, part of an invisible net that kept children safe simply by knowing them. Scraped knees got a plaster from under the counter, tears got a chew and a kind word, and a lost child got walked home. This wasn't a job description, it was belonging. Supermarkets are staffed by shifting rotas of people who don't know the neighborhood and go home to another town at the end of the day. The corner shop was rooted, and its rootedness made the whole street a little safer for the young. Number 7. Passing messages up and down the street. Before everyone had a telephone, let alone a mobile, the corner shop was the message exchange. Tell your ma'am the doctor can see her Thursday. Ask your dad if he's still after that ladder. Mrs. Perry says thank you for the eggs. The shopkeeper held a dozen little errands in his head and passed them on as folk came in, stitching the neighborhood together with words carried across the counter. He knew who needed to hear what, and made sure they did. It was a switchboard run on goodwill. Supermarkets are silent cathedrals of self-service, where nobody speaks and no message is ever passed. The corner shop hummed with the small news of the street. Who was poorly, who'd had a baby, who was back on their feet, and made sure everyone stayed in the loop. Number 6. Opening on Christmas morning. When you realized on Christmas morning that you'd forgotten the sage and onion, or run clean out of milk with a house full of guests, the corner shop's light was on. The shopkeeper opened for a couple of hours on the days everywhere else was shut tight, because he knew someone, somewhere, would be desperate. He gave up part of his own holiday to save yours, often barely covering his costs, and greeted every panicked forgetter with a Merry Christmas and exactly the thing they needed. It was service as a genuine act of care, not a calculation of profit. Supermarkets close entirely on Christmas Day, by law and by rota, their vast doors sealed and dark. The little shop on the corner kept a light burning for the whole street's forgotten sausages and missing milk. Number 5. Giving you a real recommendation. Ask the corner shopkeeper what was good, and you got an honest answer based on what he actually thought, not on which supplier had paid for the eye-level shelf. The cheddar's lovely this week, but I'd leave the ham. It's not the best batch. Try this tea. I think you'll prefer it to your usual. He tasted what he sold, knew his stock, and steered you right, because your coming back mattered more than shifting one particular tin. There were no sponsored placements, no marketing deals dictating what he pushed. Supermarkets arrange their entire shelves around who's paid for prominence, and the recommended sticker means someone bought the spot. The corner shop's recommendation was the genuine opinion of a person who ate the same food and lived on the same street, and you could trust it completely. Number 4. Lending you a pint till morning. Out of milk with the baby crying and not a penny in the house till the morning? Take a pint. Sort me out tomorrow. The shopkeeper would let you walk out with what you needed on nothing but your word, a loan of goods rather than a sale. Sugar borrowed till payday, a loaf lent till the gyro came, a tin handed over with a "pay me when you can." It was the shop acting as a genuine neighbor, sharing rather than merely selling. This everyday lending, unrecorded and unsecured, caught countless families in its gentle net when they'd otherwise have gone without. A supermarket cannot lend you a single thing. The barcode must be scanned and the payment must clear. The corner shop ran partly on "I owe us" and mostly on trust, and it worked. Number 3. Remembering the little things. The shopkeeper remembered that it was your birthday and slipped a bar of chocolate in the bag on the house. He remembered your daughter had been off school poorly and asked how she was doing. He remembered you liked the crusty loaf and put one by on a Saturday, remembered your husband's brand of tobacco, remembered you'd mentioned a job interview and wished you luck. These tiny acts of attention, none of them written down anywhere, made you feel seen in a way no rewards app ever could. He cared, and the caring showed in 100 small gestures. Supermarkets remember your data and forget you entirely, sending automated "we miss you" emails generated by a computer. The corner shopkeeper actually missed you if you didn't come in, and told you so when you did. Number 2. Being somewhere to shelter and belong. When the rain came down in sheets, you could duck into the corner shop and stand a while, and nobody minded if you didn't buy a thing. It was warmth, a familiar face, a bit of chat while the storm passed. For the lonely, the elderly, the young mum at the end of her tether, the shop was a place to be among people, to be greeted by name, to feel part of something. It was the front room of the whole street, open to all, asking nothing. That sense of belonging was the shop's truest product, given away free with every visit. Supermarkets are designed to move you through and out, past no loitering signs and security cameras, buy and leave. The corner shop invited you to stay, to shelter, to belong, and that welcome cost nothing and meant everything. Number 1. Trusting the whole street. Above all of it, including the tick book, the lending, the messages, and the notes in the hanky, sat one thing supermarkets have never stocked and never will: trust. The corner shop ran on the unspoken bond of an entire community, on the shopkeeper's faith in his neighbors and their faith in him, built up over years of small dealings honored and small kindnesses returned. He knew you'd pay what you owed, and you knew he'd treat you fair, and on that quiet agreement a whole way of life was carried. It was human, imperfect, and bound the street together tighter than any contract. Supermarkets replaced all of it with barcodes, cameras, and terms and conditions, efficient and utterly impersonal. The corner shop trusted you, and in doing so, it turned a row of houses into a neighborhood, and strangers into a community that looked after its own. 25 things, and every one of them boiled down to the same simple truth. The corner shop knew you, trusted you, and cared. That's the thing the supermarket took away, and no app has ever given it back. Which one do you remember best? Let me know down in the comments, and if your street had a shopkeeper who did all this and more, tell me their name. They deserve to be remembered.